detected in 2010 and killed 45 people before it was detected and eradicated. For Zodiak in this is Steve Kalungwe.
Staying on health matters, the second wave of COVID-19 infections seems well on course in Malawi, with cases rising each passing day. To try and counter the threat, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 announced this week closure of all borders. Co-chairperson of the task force, who is also Minister of Health, Kwagwanji Chiponda, said for airports they will emphasize that all arriving passengers produce COVID-19 certificates.
For the next 2 weeks, we are closing our borders, except for Malawians. Well, I know we have some who are going back to holiday, they have to come back. I should say citizens, but also the special groups like deportees, because they come, they're deported here, the deportees, and deportees when they come, we have also looked at how we're going to manage them. We know we had serious challenges at first, but now we have perfected our systems. We know exactly how to handle our deportees or indeed our detainees. But there are also some special circumstances which we look at, which one can still enter to Malawi. But we are taking this border issue very, very, very seriously, because it is the port of entry which is bringing in a lot of people who are positive, and most of them, they also come without the COVID negative test. Unlike at the airports, most of them, all of them, when they come, they always have the COVID-19 negative certificate, which is a requirement, unlike our borders. So for the next 2 weeks, we are closing our borders, and we will have serious monitoring of our borders, keeping in mind that we have very porous borders. So we are urging all those who are planning to come to Malawi for a holiday. We are saying sorry these 2 weeks, bear with us. When we open, maybe you can come back later and visit our beautiful country. But for now, we really have to plead with you. And we know it is not only Malawi, there are a lot of countries who are also doing the same. But to us, the most important thing is we safeguard the Malawians, and indeed, we safeguard our country.
Minister of Health Kwagwanji Chiponda there. But those measures were not well received by some stakeholders who faulted government for what they say is continued lack of consultation when introducing COVID-19 restrictions. Both PAC chairperson Bishop Gifford Matonga and HRDC chairperson Gift Trapence, while agreeing that the coronavirus has hit hard, they argue that consultation was key. Linda Masinga had more in this report.
The decision to reinforce COVID-19 measures, as announced by Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 Tuesday, has sparked national debate, with stakeholders accusing government of lack of consultation on the matter. The stakeholders include Public Affairs Committee, PAC, HRDC, and the Black Rhino Entertainment. PAC spokesperson Bishop Gifford Matonga has told us the decision will inconvenience many who already made plans over this festive season. Chairperson of the Human Rights Defenders Coalition, HRDC, Gift Trapence, said government would have done better in preparing Malawians accordingly. Since this festive season, entertainment takes center stage, artists have cried foul over the decision, especially on the 100 rule on all gatherings. Ty Green of Black Rhino Entertainment says this will largely affect their planning as well as finances. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 announced new measures which include closure of land border posts as well as effecting a restriction of a maximum of 100 people per gathering as preventive measures amid a new wave of COVID-19. This is Linda Masinga reporting.
The AntiCorruption Bureau, ACB, says it will next month start investigations on bribery attempts allegations by a business person named Chandra Shekhar Moore to have his immigration status in the country reversed. ACB Director General Rainek Matemba confirmed receipt of the complaint from human rights activist Billy Mayaya that Moore wanted him to facilitate a reversal of his immigration by bribing Minister of Homeland Security Richard Chimwendo Banda. He said the Bureau will use laid-down procedure to investigate the matter, and the fact that the suspect is not Malawian citizen and currently out of Malawi will not interrupt them. Matemba speaks to John Paul Kayuni.
I can confirm that we received the letter, and we received it yesterday. That's Wednesday, around 5 p.m. Of course, Mr. Maya also sent me the letter electronically. Now, as you're aware, government offices, most of them are on holiday. We only have skeleton staff that are working at the ACB. The letter arrived only yesterday. Just like the other complaints that we receive at the ACB, we'll look at the matter and investigate it. But obviously, that will be next month when we reopen.
The man in question, the alleged briber, is not a Malawian citizen and he is outside the country. How are you going to handle this issue?
We will get there. First and foremost, for us, the most important thing is we have received a complaint. Like I've indicated, we'll look at it and pursue the matter. How we are going to pursue it, because the person is outside the country, we'll decide. There are ways that we investigate cases like those. We work hand in hand with foreign investigation authorities, and there are ways and means of getting evidence which is outside the country, and we'll pursue all the available options for us. But we should not get there. Those are operational matters. The most important thing is we have received the complaint and we'll pursue the matter.
Earlier, John Paul caught up with Mayaya, who said Moore wanted to take advantage of his status as human rights activist to get to the minister.
I received a WhatsApp message from Mr. Senka trying to solicit a bribe to me. He proposed that he'll give me 60 million kwacha, which I should divide in two so that I get 30 million and the Honorable Minister Richard Chimwendo Banda also gets 30 million. And the main purpose of the bribe was to influence the minister to reverse the position of where Mr. Senka, as you may be aware, is a prohibited immigrant. He was deported from Malawi. So he wanted me to influence the minister to reverse that position so that he would facilitate his return back to Malawi to continue his businesses.
Well, why did he specifically come to you? Are you friends?
No, I think he is aware of our work as human rights defenders, our influence, and so on and so forth. So he used that as an opportunity to maliciously use us or me to gain favor from the minister.
Moving on with the show, this week the police announced staggering figures of road accidents caused by motorcycle and bicycle taxis. Minister of Home Affairs Richard Chimwendo Banda says there were 860 deaths of motorcycle kabaza operators in 2020. Madari Sopiri reports.
Minister of Homeland Security Richard Chimwendo Banda said there are several factors that have contributed to this death toll, chief among them recklessness and non-adherence to road safety laws. Chimwendo Banda said as government they have moved in to deal with the issue of non-adherence to road safety rules by motorcycle operators, who he said are over 1 million in the country.
For our colleagues operating motorcycle businesses, we really appreciate the need for you to make a living, to earn a living, but we would want you to live like any other road user. We'll work together with you to address the concerns that you have, but at the same time we'll make sure that you follow the law by putting on a crash helmet, by making sure that you're not overloading, and by making sure that you have the capacity to drive in our roads.
On security arrangement during this festive season, Inspector General of Police Dr. George Kainja said they have intensified patrols and presence in all areas, while they are also strict on the road to arrest all those who will be found to be driving while drunk. Dr. Kainja added that they have also cracked down on all motorists driving unregistered vehicles.
We are stopping each and every vehicle without giving any preferences at all. That's what we are doing currently on the ground. Otherwise, we will continue to do this so that all of us are subjected to the very same law that we created going forward.
Both Dr. Kainja and Minister Chimwendo Banda appealed to Malawians for cooperation during this festive season. For Zodiak, this is Madali Topiri reporting.
You're watching This Week in the News on Zodiac. We have more in this week's top stories shortly after this break.
Are you looking for accommodation in Blantyre? Cedar Place offers you luxury service department accommodation, complete with all your modern amenities, with additional travel and culinary service for your convenience. Whether you choose to stay at night or months, Cedar Place has all the comforts of a home, whilst indulging you in the luxury service you can expect from a world-class boutique hotel. Set against the backdrop of Michiru Mountain and only 2 minutes away from Blantyre CBD, Cedar Place is truly a welcome center of serenity. Book your stay today by calling the numbers on the screen. Cedar Place, definitive style, complete comfort.
Once in a spaced while, in uncertain patterns, Mother Nature gives us its finest. We didn't create Ngwasi, it was given to us. Deep, traditional African formula, smooth, gentle flow, chocolate aroma, an eccentric taste, all tied in a perfect blend. Levitate to your throne with Ngwasi Premier Cream, the magic of royalty.
This Christmas, you too can taste the magic at only 6,500 kwacha. Call now.
Precious things have a secret formula. While John is busy trying to impress, James discovers Tangu's secret. Tangu uses Purity sanitary products from Purity body wash, Purity hands wash, Purity body lotion to Purity dishwash. After a week of using Purity sanitary products, James won the heart of Tangu. Use Purity sanitary products.
Nyama World, the home of beef and goat products in Malawi. Quality goat selection bought from the smallholder farmers across the northern and central Malawi. Better pricing, better returns for the farmers. Products produced in the only export certified meat factory in Malawi. Traceability done from purchasing to selling. After slaughter, carcasses are kept in the chiller until the meat is mature. Then the meat is deboned, cut, packed, and distributed to the market. We religiously practice all international standards relating to hygiene, food production, distribution, and selling. Our distributors are spread across the country. Nyama World, quality first.
You're watching the news on Zodiac. We have more. Neno district registers third typhoid fever death in a week. Positive cases rise to 41. Government announces closure of all borders to try and counter a second wave of COVID-19 infections. Reckless driving and non-adherence to traffic rules claim over 800 lives of motorcyclists this year. In sports, long-awaited construction of a multi-purpose indoor sports complex takes off in Lilongwe. Moving on with the news, in the week ending, government announced a change in the country's financial year. Secretary for Economic Development, Dr. Winford Masanjala, says this has been done as a measure of easing Treasury ability to fund public institutions that are involved in agriculture, which is the backbone of the country's economy. But while commending the development, economic expert Dr. Bechani Chereni has advised the current administration to ensure that there is proper implementation because failure to do so shall have negative impact on the economy. More in this report filed by Alinafe Mlamba.
The decision by government to change its fiscal year aims at aligning national development plans with the agriculture calendar. According to a statement signed by Secretary for Economic Planning and Development and Public Sector Reforms, Dr. Winford Masanjala, this will smoothen government's ability to finance public institutions that play crucial roles in the agriculture sector. The statement further pointed out that the current fiscal year makes it hard for institutions to provide resources timely, as the country's economy depends on agriculture. But while commending the development, economic expert from the Polytechnic, Dr. Bechani Chereni, has advised government to put in place measures for a smooth implementation.
When we have started it, we should be consistent with it. We should not be in a process where we are going to change again and change again and change again. The rationale for this change, for example, it is something that I think I applaud, and therefore let's look at it from the economic point of view. We should not look at it from another point of view. I don't think there's anything to do with politics in this one. There's more to do with how we plan for the economy to grow and develop better.
Government says the 2021-2022 fiscal year shall be shortened to 9 months to let the subsequent years commence on 1st April from 2022.
Now, how are you coping with the dark festive period? On Wednesday, Ejenco said it would take about 10 days to repair a burst bypass pipe at Nkula B hydropower station that led to shutting down of the plant. In the process, 100 megawatts of electricity was lost. Happy Njelamano filed this report.
The electricity generation company Ejenco is repairing the burst bypass pipe at Nkula B hydropower station, which has affected generation of 100 megawatts of electricity. Ejenco Chief Executive Officer William Liabunya says it is not yet known how much money the company will lose owing to the problem. Liabunya says they are currently dewatering the station for smooth repairing of the pipe.
The monetary value is difficult to say now because we need to see how much we make in a day when we are running the machines. Because the monetary value that we're losing mainly is on the production. On the maintenance works, the main cost that is coming from there is mainly on the manpower use. The materials used, most of them are not as expensive spare parts. We're talking about bolts and gaskets, which are not as expensive parts, but the manpower, the loss of production are the main cost to this emergency.
Energy Minister Newton Kambala, who toured the station on Tuesday, says they expect to complete the repairing work in about 10 days.
Currently, what is estimated as a number of days it would take us to repair the machines is about 10 days. And if we can study properly on how we can drain the water, we can shorten the period by 2 or 3 days. And I'm looking forward to see that happens. And I'm very sure the engineers we have on site should be able to do that, which we have already seen on how they have protected the power station.
Problem has forced Ejenco to shut down the station. Meanwhile, Ejenco says it is running diesel power plants to minimize the impact of the shutdown.
And in sports, this week, government announced it will cough about 8 billion kwacha for construction of the long-awaited multi-purpose indoor netball complex in Lilongwe. Principal architect in government and project architect Arthur Chipiko revealed this during the construction site handover ceremony to China Railway 20 Bureau Group Corporation, which will do the construction adjacent to Bingu Stadium. Construction works would take up to 1.5 years to complete. Bright Kanyama was on this story.
The construction of a multi-purpose indoor sports complex is expected to commence on 4th January, immediately after civil servants' festive season holiday. Principal architect in government and project architect Arthur Chipiko told us in Lilongwe at Bingu National Stadium that the construction works will run for 1.5 years, and that the agreement between government and the contractor, China Railway 20 Bureau Group Corporation, is that the facility will be ready in time before the commencement of the 2022 Regional 5 All Africa Games. Chipiko, however, disclosed at the construction site handover ceremony in Lilongwe that the project will need 7.8 billion kwacha to complete. He added that the indoor sports complex will have a 2,000-seater capacity 1 netball court which can also be used as a basketball court, and 3 tennis courts. It will also host boxing bouts among other sporting activities which will be accommodated at the facility.
This complex is being built to support activities that will center around the Kamuzu Institute for Sports. Some of the activities will take place here. So this is one of the main projects that we're building towards the 2022 sports games. Preparation process, we noted, we picked this contractor as the most responsive contractor. Hence, they are here to do the job.
Minister of Sports Ule Musungama announced plans to name the sports complex after the late Griffin Saenda, who died last month, in honor of his contributions to the game of netball in Malawi. For Zodiac, this is Bright Kanyama.
And that's what we had for you in this edition of This Week in the News. But before we go, another look at the headlines. Neno District registers third typhoid fever death in a week. Positive cases rise to 41. Government announces closure of all borders to try and counter a second wave of COVID-19 infection. Reckless driving and non-adherence to traffic rules claim over 800 lives of motorcyclists this year. And in sports, long-awaited construction of a multi-purpose indoor sports complex takes off in Lilongwe. Log on to our website, zodiacmalawi.com, for more news. You have been with me, Robert Kalua. Remember to seek medical help when you start experiencing symptoms of COVID-19. Good evening.
Makalenda a Zodiac a chaka cha 2021 atuluka. Pezani makalenda 10 kuti mugawireko anzanu, abale ndi anansi. Kuti zitheke, tumizani mawoti Zodiac ku 54141. Kuti mudzilandira nkhani zomwe zangochitika kumene kuchokera ku wireless yanu number 1 Zodiac. Ndipo mukatero mutha kukhala mmodzi mwa anthu 10